Buenos días. Gracias por acompañarnos el día de hoy. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Nos encontramos el día de hoy haciendo un webinar de la Revolución 4.0 del posicionamiento con SEO SAMBA. Ellos son líderes en lo que es plataformas de marketing y posicionamiento para marcas en todo el mundo, tanto cadenas de negocios como para franquicias. Y el día de hoy nos están acompañando Jason Caber y Michelle Leconte, quienes nos darán mayor información sobre esta herramienta. Les comento que esta charla la estaremos realizando en inglés. Si tienen preguntas al final de la charla, pueden dárnoslas, escribirlas en el chat, tanto en inglés o en español, y yo puedo traducirlas si es que están en español para que ellos puedan resolver todas sus dudas. Muchas gracias. Jason, Michelle, thank you for being here. And we are going to start this presentation. And for you to lead us over with what SEO SAMBA is, how it can help our businesses and our franchises to go around the globe. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Right. Well, thank you, Stephanie. Thanks. Jason, I will
I'm
let you start the presentation, right?
Fantastic.
All right. Welcome everybody, and welcome to this webinar then hosted by GNF Worldwide and SEO SAMBA. Jason, take it away, please.
All righty. So we're going to jump into this presentation for you guys in respects to starting out with franchise development marketing. All right. So I'm going to go through a number of slides here just to bring everybody up to speed. So we're talking about the same expectations, same actions that we subscribe to along with all of our other franchise brands. I think it's important for you guys to know that my history is in franchise development, franchise sales prior to working for SEO SAMBA. So we bring that extra edge when working with other franchisors with that franchise experience, and as well as Michelle does too. So I think that's very important to note that there's a tremendous amount of value behind our experience along with our software. So jumping into this, slide 3 here, we have just understanding your expectations from your lead sources. So we'll take a look at the next slide. That will showcase the different referral sources, or I should say references. So when you develop a franchise marketing or franchise sales marketing platform with all of the available leads in franchise sales, you want to know which ones to target the most, which ones bring in the best leads. So I pulled this report from the IFA this is from FranConnect, but from the IFA as well. This is kind of a standardized understanding of where your leads come from, right? Your top leads. The first one is referrals from other franchisees, right? So if you have a number of franchisees in your system already, your top conversions, the highest converting, I should say, lead source is your referrals from them. The next one competes, website typically competes with brokers as far as quality of lead, right? So brokers can provide more leads, but as far as quality of lead, websites and then brokers are going to be probably head to head. Depending on the type of broker you're working with, some of them will just send you the information to the lead that they qualified, where others will stick with the whole lead all the way into the discovery day and then to close, right? So it just depends. And then how those brokers are motivated too depends on, what the quality of the lead based on your franchise fee and what you're paying them. But on the website, the crucial thing there is that not only has your lead identified the industry they want to be in, they've identified they want to be a franchisee, but they've also narrowed it down to probably 2 or 3 options, being your company and probably 2 other ones. So when you get those leads, it's crucial that you respond to them immediately, get on the phone, send them a text, email, and lo and behold, our system is set up to do that. The next group is franchise expos, your events. Events are great in the sense that you get to meet some of the people directly, and become part of their network, if you will. But really where we see the most impactful way to attack events with lead generation is pre and post marketing. So when you're going to an event, you typically have probably, some contacts already interested in your franchise. So you want to set up meetings before and after or during that event with those folks. And then even post follow-up after the event, you have 20 or 30 leads. You want to make sure you're nurture those leads immediately, carry that torch and that excitement from that expo. And of course, our system does that very, very well. And the last one, most franchisors subscribe to them just to keep a lead flow coming in, is lead generation sites. So like portals like Entrepreneur Magazine or Franchise Gator. You may have heard some of these before. They're obviously on the low end. You should only expect about 1% of those leads to convert at any given time. So if you get 100 leads, you could probably close one out of 100. So those are the expectations that I would set. Obviously, they come with their own volume. Like referrals from other franchisees are rare, but they're so solid. Website, depending on your brand and how large your brand is, it could be anywhere from 10 leads a month to 100 leads a month. Brokers, again, that all depends on, what you're paying them and how aggressive they're hunting. Franchise expos, you're going to get on average 20 or 30 leads. Unfortunately, it's the same 20 or 30 leads that everybody else in that expo is getting, but you'll still get them. And then lead generation sites is a high volume, low return. So, all right, let's jump to the next slide. So let's talk about the best tactics for lead generation, right? On slide 6, I've listed them out here. In where, not only did I practice this at my last brand, but this is pretty standard, right? So like I mentioned, referrals are number one lead acquisition. So to think about what you would pay a broker, right? Maybe half or 3/4 of your franchise fee is usually what they're after. You can afford to definitely pay a good portion of that, what you'd pay a broker, to a franchisee for a referral. It's highly motivating when they know there's $5,000 or $6,000 or $10,000 out there, just if they find a local business owner that might be, outside their territory, or a friend that can operate a business outside their territory, that bring in that referral. So motivating them is crucial, and keeping that campaign awareness high. So consistently sending that message to your franchisees saying, hey, we're looking for other franchisee candidates. Keep in mind, we have this heavy referral fee. Is a great one. And then conversions. So conversions are in-kind businesses, right? So if you're in the restoration industry and, it's fire, flood, and mold, and a lot of the contractors start as carpet cleaners and then they roll into that. So if you want to sell and convert some of those carpet cleaners, you find those in-like businesses for your brand. So if it's food, if they want to add another a location with a different service and diversify their franchise portfolio, again, conversions are great for existing restaurant owners. So that's another campaign that you can run, is email or targeted marketing towards those in-kind franchise or business owners. And then, of course, email marketing, that pertains to a lot of things. So you can do, on the franchise development side, you're promoting through lists. You're pulling, you can combine that with LinkedIn campaigns, where you're aggregating information from LinkedIn about contacts and you're emailing them, putting them in a drip campaign. You're nurturing them with the email campaign. So a lot there. The next one is organic paid search and local ads. So this is obviously a service that you would hire for. We provide these services to our our clients, and we have a specific strategy around local and remarketing ads that adds tremendous value, and it saves you a lot of money, right? So you're not paying for ads that just don't go anywhere. And then going that pre and post marketing event marketing, we talked about that. LinkedIn is a strong one for franchise sales because you can find a lot of retiring or professionals that want to take control of their future, right? And then on nurturing tactics, we have brand awareness through PR. So some of our platform, or one of our platforms, has access to Newswire and a social calendar, which allows you to bring brand awareness. You may get a few leads throughout the year from this, but traditionally you want your brand to be seen everywhere. So you want your brand to be seen on PR, social media, LinkedIn, email marketing. That candidate needs to see you on the portals. They need to see you at the events. They need that full view of you to know that you're a trusted brand. You're not going anywhere and you've invested in that industry. And then remarketing, retargeting. We know what that is as far as those ads that follow you around after you visit our website. They're very, very effective on franchise sales because a lot of franchise candidates will come to your site. They'll go to several other sites to look at, your competition and so forth. But if they're not constantly reminded, then they may move on to a local business for sale. They may move on to something else. And then Z online reviews. So here's a little secret about franchise sales that not a lot of franchisors employ, right? So as a candidate, they spend an enormous amount of time researching your brand. And one of those things is after they've looked at your website, they've seen you around at events, they know what you do, they know their pricing. They're like, well, how strong is this brand at the local level? So they go to your franchisee locations, they look at the Google My Business. If they see 4 or 5 star reviews and consistently and frequently, meaning they're up to date, they're going to know that that's a strong brand. If they see the opposite, they may use that as a validation, saying, this brand isn't very strong. They've got problems at the franchisee level, and they move on to the next application. So let's take a look at the next slide on what do we do and how do we do this? How do we employ these different tactics to those campaigns and such? So on slide 8, here we have the traditional model. Like franchisors are hunting for leads. I can't tell you how many phone calls I have where the franchisors say, I just need more leads. Well, yeah, I understand that, but where you're getting your leads, how are they, how much quality they are. So we're suggesting here, instead of trying to hunt for the leads, build the factory that gives you the leads, right? Build the system that provides that. So on slide 9, I'll introduce you to our franchise sales CRM edition, right? So this is a pretty deep and wide application. This is a technology we developed here at SEO SAMBA, specifically over the last 4 years in relationship to my brand and other brands to develop a very effective CRM just for franchise sales. So not only does this come with a custom developed website for your franchise sales, the CRM itself has so many components to it, and it's a mobile app, right? So the mobility allows your sales force to be anywhere, anytime. And with franchise sales, you have to be 100% responsive all the time, right? So even if it comes in on the weekend at dinner time, you've got to be able to either respond via text, email, or call, depending on the value of that lead, right? And our system will give it a lead score based on their behavior as well. But some of the top things that our franchise sales CRM does really well is it allows you to have all of the initial campaigns already built in it for franchise sales. It's going to give you the ability to send contracts out, get signed contracts. So here in the States, we use an FDD. You have to get a receipt when that's sent out so that they know that they've downloaded it, because that's a timing thing here. And then of course you have your franchise agreement that needs to be signed, or your licensing agreement. So a lot of those can be put together in the CRM and sent out and tracked and signed. So that's a huge thing. And then of course you have the whole sales process being tracked within the CRM. You have all their email, connectivity, and so forth. So let's take a look at slide 10, and we'll integrate another software platform to give you a holistic application, such as lead nurturing and so forth. So we talked about the CRM having the built-in franchise sales funnel. So we provide a framework for the drip campaigns, the text campaigns that you need, and the marketing automation that allows you to have a form filled out on your site, and immediately that candidate gets a text and an email. All right, so that's a big deal in franchise sales. And you can have that message say whatever. You can have a calendar invite, you can have an introduction to one of your salespeople, but it's very effective. The ready-to-use franchise sales website, we customize that towards your brand. We include 25 geo-targeted landing pages as a strategy for SEO. That's one of the cost-saving things with paid search as well. When you're targeting, let's say, all of the, a state or a country, that's expensive. But if you're targeting a city or a town for your franchise, that's a lot less expensive because you're getting people that are searching locally and more ready to move forward. And again, text marketing is a big deal right now, especially in franchise sales. I found that sending texts and communicating through text with the franchise candidates was way more effective than email. I get immediate responses. I'd schedule meetings, and we have that platform both in our CRM, and then we have a new Mensa app that allows you to text directly from your website to your candidate, which is fantastic. With our marketing odds platform, we have call tracking, monitoring, and a social calendar integration. Obviously, that allows you to not monetize, but understand how many leads you're getting in from the call tracking. You get to listen to your sales folks. You can coach from them. There's a lot of applications there. Obviously, the social calendar is fantastic, where you can schedule out a month, 6 months, a year on all of your social posts. And of course, our CRM connects to your email server, right? So you're not having to paste any kind of emails or calendar appointments into your CRM. It's automatically placed in there. So our next slide shows, it's just a kind of a preview of the things that we do when we build out a strategic franchise sales marketing system for you. So that's including the website, it's including the CRM, it's including the marketing OS. We do a PR piece to launch out that says that we do a number, we've combined forces with you and we're working on that. So that adds additional PR to your SEO. All of our sites are ADA compliant, which is very important here in the States as a brand, because brands tend to get targeted for lawsuits against this. So all of our sites come automatically optimized for that. We basically have 180 steps to produce a site that obviously is very effective on SEO content, and then of course funnels and drip campaigns. So let's take a look at the next slide, and just looking at some of the stuff that we talked about here in our applications for the franchise development side of things before I turn it over to Michelle. So email and texting and text now marketing is obviously a big, strong arm in franchise development. Organic, meaning SEO is a huge component, right? So the better your SEO, the less your ads cost, the more aggressive that you can get with your brand. And we're very strong at that, obviously, having it being in our name as a service, but also as a software component. We build a lot of those triggers and data sources into the site. The nurturing tactics, yes, brand awareness, social media, remarketing, targeting, Z online reviews. Those are all components of either our software or our services that we have combined to make these franchise development programs very, very strong and very results driven. So I will turn this over to Michelle, and he'll start talking about the consumer side, what happens when you have a franchisee. Michelle?
Yes, thank you, Jason. That was very informative. Thank you very much. Yes, and so the next question is, what do you do once you get the franchisees, right? And what role do they play in the franchise development process itself? So as we've seen early on, right, the number one acquisition tactic is referral from existing franchisees, right? So how do you maximize that favor, that factor, right? By building a virtuous circle, right? So not only are you profiting from additional royalties, you will also be in position to tell a better story to your next prospect, right? So this is all well and good, but as you would expect it, there is a problem. Un gran problema, right? And by the way, if you wonder whether you are watching a good presentation, when you see Godzilla in a presentation, that's when you know that it's a good presentation, right? So the problem is that your franchisees, right, face local competition, right, and established brands as well. But those established brands have more mindshare, more money, and more people at the corporate office who can actually support them. So what do? Well, you do need a better brand network strategy, one that includes a team that can execute at a higher standard than your competition. You also need a system that will let you deliver better marketing for your franchisees. And then you need a secret sauce, right? That changes the paradigm and builds a competitive advantage. So how do we enable worldwide brands strategies those days? Well, the Sistema Operativo de Marketing de Franquicias es la solución. Did I say that correctly, Stephanie, remotely correctly or anything like that? No? Close?
Yes.
Yes,
Perfect.
close to. Okay, great, wonderful. All right, well, on the execution side of things, right, there are 3 testimonials on this slide. I just wanted to share one of them that just lasts 1 minute, right? And we're going to skip the other ones. Jason is going to insert in a chat room some link to other SEO SAMBA reviews. So all of our guests today can check them out if they are interested. But let's just listen to Sean Manning, right, who is the owner of a payroll processing franchise company based off Denver, Colorado.
We're seeing increase in leads, which is what ROI is all about. So that's increasing in sales. But ROI is also measured by pressure off of me. It's been delegated, and we're seeing a lot more satisfaction from a franchisee standpoint. Our internal staff works amazing with SEO SAMBA. So our ROI has been incredible from a variety of reasons. The digital marketing space appears complex. For some reason, working with the SEO SAMBA team has really simplified everything. And I think we've found ways to make it easier for us and easier for people to identify what they need as far as our franchisees. And the clients are engaging, which is great. I feel like SEO SAMBA had a pretty good vision. I have a vision into what we need to see and experience with our growth. For some reason, SEO SAMBA really resonated with the fact that they can make that happen. So when you can explain a need and explain a vision and somebody says, I can help you, that's a pretty powerful relationship that starts to develop.
All right, thank you very much, Sean. Can you guys hear that, right?
We're seeing
Yes.
increase
To
in
help
leads,
market
which is
franchise.
what I was-
Yep. All right. So, so what's in that platform, right? Well, there is pretty much everything that you will need at some point, right? So there is what you see here, right, on these slides, right? So analytics, blog posting, social updates, email newsletters, review management, right? But there are also websites for franchisees, right, who perform great with Google, right, which is paramount, and also a customer relationship management system that we've seen works for franchise development with the franchise development edition, but also work for franchisees, multi-unit franchisees, area developers, as well as master franchise, right? So it works a little bit like the Russian dolls, right? So you have all these different levels giving you a complete visibility across the system, and this work worldwide, right? So you don't need to actually have different systems in different regions. You can standardize worldwide with a single system that actually can speak multiple language, contrary to Jason and I, right? And it's built obviously for brands, right? You will find amazing social web-based and mobile tools, right, that works with the corporate calendar and with the corporate team. In fact, you can download our social mobile app now and test it out for free, right, and for yourself, right? And Jason is going to share a link for you and for your phone, right, in the chat now, right? And then the last component of this formula is the salsa secreta, right? To turn your emerging network of franchisee into an army for your brand, right? A digital army for your brand. And so this is a secret sauce that we built on a recipe that we derived from Wikipedia, which has been obviously widely successful at deploying that strategy, and that's what we've built in the brand marketing and franchise marketing operating system. So I will finish this presentation with a few offer tests, right? So one of them has to do with brand marketing, because the component that we just looked at pertain to brand marketing, but it obviously better unit level economics will yield also more franchisees down the road, right? And so we are proposing you to test it out for yourself, right? And so there is an application link that you can find in the chat. So we limit the number of seats, right? And so it works like this. You can bring in a few franchisees to test out the system, and we have a program on which we deliver, a number of things that we're doing for you, right, in terms of marketing, and so that you guys can get around the platform and actually see a little bit how it works and what it can do, right? But obviously, as we expend a lot of resources doing those kind of programs, we have to limit the number of seats. So there are 4 seats available still for next quarter, and you can find the link in the chat if you are interested. And then Jason, do you want to talk maybe to the franchise development promotion that you put together for guests today?
Yeah. So one of the things we're offering here, if you want to sign up with our application, obviously there would be a lot more exploration between your brand and ours and the fit and so forth. But just want a little extra incentive for folks that are on the call today. We would obviously build a custom website with 25 geo-targeted landing pages. One of our other strategies to steal the SEO from some of your competitors is to add up to 5 competitor pages, and along with the CRM setup. So CRM setup, typically has a charge to it. That package is around $38.50, and then we add the franchise CRM's licensing for the monthly use of it at 2,500 contacts. That's $174 per month, and the franchise marketing OS platform for the franchisor level is usually around $4.99 a month. So what we're offering now is a discounted application for the setup for the CRM and the website at $3,000, and then of course the franchise CRM and the franchise marketing OS combined cost at $199 per month. So I mean, it's a bang up deal. It's a great opportunity. But again, I don't want to stress that this is an offer that we won't explore and really curate to your brand, and really get to understand what you're trying to solve for. And it might be something that we can add some services to, or curtail some costs based on the number of contacts that you're using in the CRM. So yeah, that's our opportunity for our franchise development package.
Great, thank you, Jason. And just one ultimo ofertas, which pertains actually to the product that you mentioned earlier, which is Mensa Hero, and so that is actually a web to text application, and it works independently from all of our other products, right? And so if you'd like to test this out, because it's a wonderful product to actually increase widely the number of leads that you can generate from your existing website. We've seen it working in an incredible fashion across our early customers on that product, and that is a product that you can also see on a website right now, obviously. And well, Jason is going to insert a link as well in the chat room if you like to subscribe to this product, and then you can contact me as well. So just send me an email and I will get your first month refunded, right, to your credit card, so that you can test out this product without absolutely no risk. I think that you're gonna love it because it's so intuitive and it's actually a great lead generators, right? So that's that. Otherwise, on the screen we now have the contact of for Jason, right? And I think that we are going to take your questions if you have any questions.
I'm going to put my calendar link in there as well for folks to be able to reach out to me directly and schedule a time to meet. So I'll put that in chat.
Thank you, Jason. Stephanie, back to you.
Thank you. So right now we have the opportunity to ask any questions. You can leave your questions in Spanish. Pueden dejar sus preguntas en español y las puedo traducir para poder hacer que Jason y Michelle nos puedan responder cualquier duda que tengan.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah, we'd love to hear some feedback on the presentation, the Godzilla picture, you know, whatever.
Everything that you want to ask them, please let us know. And
so this can be questions about challenges that you are facing right now as well. So this can be very practical questions because we are, you know, we are delivering the services, you know, day in, day out. So
yes, perfect. Let's see. Don't be shy, please. Ask away. Maybe if you'd like to ask yourself, you can lift your hand also, and we can see if you can answer away from them. Please.
Well, in the meantime, I do have a question for audience. If such thing is can be done, and that is what market are you guys evolving in right now? What is on the tablet for 2021 in terms of growth, right? In terms of network growth. If anybody wants to inject, feel free to do so. That'd be great to hear.
I have a question, but it's not about what you're asking for. Right now, I'm working to bring leads, and I reach my leads by social media. Web page and LinkedIn are a very good network, but they are not effective to me. What do you think about social media is coming to be on the top of the reaching leads? I don't know. Do you think that social media will be the top of getting leads? In my country is the top, and the webs are not getting enough leads, so it's difficult to have a good lead by the web.
By the web, and so you are. So let me clarify. You are getting better leads from social media than through the website.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. And you use LinkedIn specifically, and what other networks?
I use LinkedIn and Instagram. They answer me more often in Instagram. In LinkedIn, they answer me a few times. I think that people in my country don't have their profiles updated. So I write and they never answer me. So I think websites maybe with your tool be more like we can explore more in the website, because I think my website is it have to be, I think that my problem is that my website is not good enough, so the leads are getting for other channels.
Right.
So do you think that I have to replant my strategy with my website, or mix it with the social media?
Right. So
Yeah.
I think if I may, I think that the keeping what works is important, first of all, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So you have the social, you have actually part of the recipe if you're able to generate some leads through Instagram and mostly, right? So that's great. So I would definitely keep that. Now, what we are seeing is that the website is usually at the center of the digital journey. So at some point of time, even your Instagram leads are going to go to that website. And maybe you would be able to generate more Instagram leads if the website itself is actually a better representation of what you have to offer. You see what I'm saying? So because
Yes.
at some point, this is going to come through the site, right? Then there is what the website can do on its own, independently from social media, in terms of pulling leads and pulling qualified people. And so what's interesting there is that social media, typically what you're going to do with social media, it's still going to be an interruption type of advertising in many cases, right? I'm doing something, I'm writing a message to a family member, and then I see an ad because I've been targeted. So I'm interrupted in what I'm doing, and I'm seeing something. And so maybe I'm not in the mood, maybe it's not right, or maybe I'm just going to pay a little bit of attention, to it. But it's an interruption media in that sense. Before that, you can actually build a conversation, around it. What's interesting with the website is that there is an intent behind the visitor that comes straight to the website. And so what we do at SEO SAMBA is that we make sure that we can match the intent to your website. And so when Jason was mentioning building assets such as competitive pages, geo-targeted pages, and so forth, that is the goal, is to actually attract people that not only are qualified, but there is an intent and they are as down funnel as possible, because they are maybe looking already at your more established competition, right? So when we are talking about the system, when we are talking about strategies, it's about, especially for emerging brands, that's to piggyback on somebody else's work so that you can come as an alternative, an option to people that already have been through, all the qualification questions, and they have said they think at this point that they are interested in that particular industry, right? So already they are a lot more qualified than just anybody that you could find just, out of the blue, right, out there. So that would be.
Thank you.
It's a long answer, sorry. So, but yes, I mean, there is more to it.
I have to make a new strategy and start looking for new tools like yours.
Well, that's good. Then you should talk to Jason, because we think it's extremely effective. So
yeah.
I do encourage you to do so. Now, but you did bring as well an excellent point about the social media audiences and usage worldwide, which differs, right? And we do have stats that are very interesting to that, and the age brackets, right, of the audience. Obviously, if you're going to do some advertising on TikTok, that's because you want franchisees that are going to be 14 years old to 19 years old, mostly, right? And that's fine. That may be your target. I don't know, right? But if that's not your target, you might want to rethink things. Now, one thing that is interesting, though, across the board with social media is the ability to retarget people that you've already qualified from elsewhere. And so it's about pushing your brand message and to people across multiple platforms, multiple channels, in a way that Fortune 500 companies are doing. And so one thing that we've done in the CRM component that Jason was mentioning is that we built the audience for Facebook and Google Ads, for instance, right into the CRM. So that you can automatically say, when I enter a new contact in my CRM with an email address, it's automatically going to match that email address to an audience on Facebook and on Google Ads. So that when you create your campaigns on Facebook or Google, this guy is going to be among the guys that are going to see your message. And so suddenly, in the eyes of the potential franchisee, you look like a major outfit, right? And the thinking goes that if you're able to do that when you're trying to sell a franchise to me, you are able to do that as well when you're selling my product, the services that I will have in my territory to sell to my consumer audience. You will be able to help me do that as well, right? And so that's really the proof is in the pudding, right? As they say around here, right? And
right. I think I'm doing one of the 100 steps I have to make. So, but I'm doing one. I have to start making the others.
And it's a journey, you know. It's not like you snap your fingers and everything happens, even with automation, even with the tools and what's not. We took the angle, say, well, we are both a software and a service organization. And so what's interesting is that every time that we service customers and our service team build things, you know, they craft campaigns and so on, we derive that expertise, that experience with our development team so that we can facilitate all that work and we can automate it as much as possible. And then that becomes a software product. And so we think that's how we are today, because we've built so much into the product so that now when we offer a package to actually build things, we can afford it at that price because so much is already built into the tools. So we have
another question from Martin. What are the key or main processes to take into account in order to accomplish an effective website in terms of pulling leads in from the internet and social media? So it sounds to me like what he's asking, what is our main strategy for building a website?
Okay, so is
that correct, Martin? I think so.
Right, James. That's exactly the question.
Okay, perfect.
So Martin,
that's the strategies. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there are a few things before that you can build a strategy. You know, it's like a baby, right? You need to crawl before being able to walk and run, right? And so, first of all, the website has to meet certain technical requirements, right? So there is a foundational base that you need to cover on that website if you want it to be able to do, you know, more things down the road, right? And so very often what we encounter with our brand customers, and quite frankly, any kind of customers out there, right, is that they haven't fully covered those bases to start with. And so then they start to build on top of it, but it's like a house. The foundation is shaky. And so the whole thing is always about, you know, coming back to the foundation, coming back to the same problem, and so forth. So what we do is that we provide the system, essentially, that's going to meet all those foundational steps in place. And when we build the website on top of it, the service component is also going to meet standards that are established, such as the American Disability Act. If you don't meet the WCAG AA standards in the US, you open yourself up to lawsuits. It's legal trouble right there. So you might just launch your brand and you're already dead on arrival, because some guys is going to say, well, you know what, I can't get access to this or that on the site. You get a lawsuit, you know, this thing is never ending. So, you know, all those things that seems, well, that's mumbo jumbo and what's not, they have real life implication if you don't pay attention to them at this foundational stage. And so once you have covered all of this, there's another layer that has to do with the actual performance of the site itself. And the performance has to do with how you meet Google wishes, mostly, right? In terms of how a website should behave. And so the good thing about it is that when you meet the American Disability Act standard, you also provide service not only to people with disability, which is, let's face it, a good thing for everybody, but you also actually help yourself perform better with Google in that process. It's good usability, usability, contrast of colors, different things, essentially that actually help with you having a better face there. Then what you have to do is build that additional layer, which is going to be the content strategy. And so how do you go about that? You need to actually do your semantic search. The semantic search is going to give you your keyword universe. And there is a bullseye of people that are actually buyers of your service, but then there are, and a slice of this is going to be also a slice that is owned by your competitors, and you can target this, you can target that bullseye, and then you can target the industry related queries, and then you can target essentially a larger universe of queries that comes behind it, right? So you outline essentially all of these different things. You get a sense of what is the size of my digital market. So that's something that's extremely interesting, because outside of SEO SAMBA, I haven't seen it, which is the ability to estimate. I'm going to in the US, in France, in the UK, wherever I'm going, wherever I'm operating, right? There is a size of that digital market for that universe that you are targeting. So how many monthly queries is there on Google for the keywords that I'm interested in, that portray an intent of whatever I want that person, whatever I hope that person is trying to do, right? And so what we do at SEO SAMBA is that we estimate that total market. And then we can benchmark where you are today against that total market, right? Since we have that total market number now, okay? And then we get from your analytics, hopefully, roughly, and if you don't, we can also get it from other sources, roughly where you are at. And then we can chart where your competitors are on that staircase. And then next, what we do is that we chart what it will take to go from a stair that is I'm a contender, right, to become to become a challenger, to become a dominating force, right? So you have different steps in there, right? And so we can estimate what it takes, and on each of the stair, we tell you which keywords you should be targeting. Because guess what? If you are brand new to market, you cannot target the trophy keywords for your market. You are not competitive. I'm sorry to break it to you. This is not going to work, because you're going to have to wait months and years before becoming competitive for that particular query. And that's not the way it works. In real life, what you do is that you identify a segment of keywords that have a great intent. So there's small volume of queries behind that keywords, but there's a great intent. So that if you capture that little tiny slice, you're going to get leads out of that. Not a ton of leads, but they're going to be good leads. And because you prove to Google that the people that came to the website stick on the website, they found it interesting, they contacted you, this will give you credentials to actually target queries that have more volume. And on and on and on and on until you can go all the way to competing with the major of this world. So that's the strategy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Miguel. Thank you. And I have another question. We have many B2B clients that are actually starting to franchise their businesses, and they have that question. I know you've mentioned it during the presentation, but how is that that they are starting to franchise? Your platform is going to be able to help them achieve that targeting and attract more leads and attract because it's a B2B segment, and many people, maybe like a consumer, won't know what that service is about. So how can SEO SAMBA platform help them to achieve those leads?
So on the B2B side, obviously you have smaller numbers, right, of potential customers or franchisees. What happened there is that it's a lot about relationship, right? It's a lot about relationship at that point, and so you need the tools in there that will actually let you give you an array, access to an array of signals, because you are talking about a small audience, but it's an extremely valuable audience, right? It's a complex sales. Typically, you got multiple people involved, right? You got the organization, the account view, right? The account-based marketing matters in that case, right? And so you need a system that will let you unify all those signals so that you can in turn build a picture of that target, right? Of where that person is in their journey. And so the way that we've done that, for instance, in a CRM product, is that you check a box, you can multiply phone numbers and what's not. You display those phone numbers through campaigns and so forth. You get the call recording of the guys. You get the SMS with the inbound SMS. You can pass those SMS for keywords, and from there you can build workflows and alerts. So suddenly you are in a situation as a salesperson where that information is going to be resurfaced for you, right? And so because there's the signals that come together, and each of the signals, you got points associated with all the signals. They come together and you have your formula. And obviously, so you need to fine tune the formula in terms of how you are scoring the different signals. But when they come together, then that gives you that picture. And so nice thing about it is that on a product like SEO SAMBA, so essentially what I'm talking to you about is typically what you're going to find in systems such as Salesforce, with all the options, the entire enchilada, right? And that's going to cost you thousands a month, and that's going to cost you thousands in the integration, and that's going to take months. And before funding SEO SAMBA, I worked in integration, right, in the Silicon Valley. I've seen this project time and again. They are extremely costly. They are front with pitfall. People change positions. It's very often, more often than not, in fact, it's a nightmare, or it's a half success or half failure, depending on how you look at it. But in most of your partners and customers, it's a very expensive route to go, right? And so what we are proposing is something where everything is already pre-integrated, and so you can go from 0 to 100 really, really inexpensively, and then you can build up and what's up. But already that gets you ahead of the curve, of 98% of the people out there, right?
Okay, perfect. Do we have any more questions?
Yep.
For Jason and Michelle? Okay, it seems that we don't have any more questions. And thank you very much, Jason and Michelle, for your time, for giving us this amazing presentation of this incredible tool that will help us and the franchises and all of the businesses that we have to grow and to be more supported with these type of tools. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah, I just want to encourage folks to use my calendar link. It's in the chat to schedule time, and I will show you intimately each one of these platforms we talked about. I'm happy to review individually or in a group with your team. And that's really, you really get to see, some of the in the weeds, if you will, analytics and things that we can produce for you. So I encourage you to schedule that and use that calendar link as you need.
Perfect. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.